Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. Today we have Derick Lengwenus. What was it? What? Mr. Derick. It's Mr. Derick. We talk about, he's Canadian. I think this is our first Canadian guest. We talk about his dad, wingsuits, Just for Laughs, the beautiful strip clubs in Montreal, and road gigs, comedy. Then talk about my father, but it's not too good. Oh, the wings. I did see the wingsuits, right? Yeah, you fly, you can't. And we're going to find somebody in the street to do some black market skydiving wingsuits. Okay, Lobo Den.
Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. Lobo Den, Lobo Den, Lobo Den. It's the Lobo.
Okay, welcome to the Lobo Den Podcast. I'm your host, Giovanni Diaz. We're at the Lincoln Lodge with Chrissy Herrera. Herrera, right? What the fuck?
Ferreira.
What is it? Ferreira. I don't know who Herrera is. I've been around a lot of Mexicans
Sounds like a
this
baseball
weekend.
player to me.
Yeah, Cuban, Dominican, all the same. But again, today we have a very special guest, Derick. Okay, I'm going to try the last name one time. Lengwenus.
Yeah, not bad.
Mr. Derick, though,
but
right?
Mr. Derick. if you
Mr.
were to-
Derick. We have Mr. Derick in the podcast.
Here
But
I
before
am.
we start, we have a sponsor, right? We are actually sponsored by Philip Morris today. Do they make Marlboro Reds? Is that them? Quick shout out to Philip Morris. They've done so much good for the community and children. And like my dad smoked cigarettes. I didn't even know for years. But now, because of Philip Morris and their advancement program, you start with cigarettes. Now he's smoking crystal meth in Mexico, and he got deported, and he's smoking crystal, messaging me for money. So if it wasn't for him starting to smoke cigarettes and drink and whatever his parents did to
Wait
him,
a minute.
he wouldn't be messaging me and asking me for money. But it's funny because have you dealt with any drug addicts before?
Have I dealt with drug addicts? Yeah, I'm a comic. What are you talking about?
The drug addict messages was people don't know about drug addicts. They don't do this for cigarettes, but other drugs, it's a great message because it's a long story it's a long sap story, and at the end it's like, hey, I need $20,
Yeah.
but it's
Just
like
20 though.
and they need it right away. They'll start calling you, right, and it's very urgent. But then when you send the money, they disappear and they're gone. They disappear from your life. Again, thank you very much, Philip Morris and Marlboro Red cigarettes. It's so sweet. And I miss before they switched to the other paper, which wasn't the same because they made it so it wouldn't, because somebody had a cigarette and they had it and they died or something because they let it out. So now it burns quicker or burns our way so you don't leave it. They made that change, and that's when I stopped smoking. Hello, Mr. Derick. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Giovanni.
You do come from Canada. I think you are my first Canadian guest.
No way, really?
I don't think Canada. Well,
I think they closed the border. Canadians can't get in here
thankfully,
anymore.
yeah. Well, you guys are very strict in Canada.
We were
going
the
into
worst.
Canada.
Oh, my God.
Why are you
Oh,
so
well,
strict?
it's-
What is it? The Canadian bacon you're trying to protect, or what's
I don't
going on?
know.
Cheers.
Oh yeah, thank you.
What-
Cheers,
what-
my man.
What whiskey did we get?
I don't know. I think I got Jameson. You got something different.
Oh,
like
I
some
cannot drink
black
Jameson.
label.
Thank you very much.
You can't?
Every time I've had it, I vomited.
Really?
Either it's been in my I remember I was at a bar.
So you can actually taste that you've got Jameson on your tongue, really?
Yeah, I can't. I was at. I remember I
Are
was
you
at
a
bar.
whiskey connoisseur? Is that it?
No, I drink. Well, I'd like to be, but I'm not. Cause
Yeah, I think we all want to be whiskey.
are you a whiskey connoisseur?
Almost, pretty much. I have the
What do you like?
brands that I'm going to drink, and that's it.
What are the ones you drink?
Russell's is my
Canadian?
go-to. No, Russell's is it's a local American whiskey, and Buffalo Trace. That's
I
a
heard
good
that
one.
Joe Rogan is sponsored by Buffalo
Oh, is he?
Trace.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
But I would go Russell's first. Try Russell's. It's small
American
batch.
whiskey?
Yeah,
Small batch? Okay.
absolutely. And Buffalo Trace close second, and then after that, if you don't have those first two, whatever you recommend at that point.
I drink. I don't know if you're snobbing and look at me different. I drink. I told you Black Label. I
Yeah.
like Black Label because it's in the middle. It's like
Is it?
It's not too sweet like a Chivas.
Yeah, I
right?
don't like that sweet
And it's
stuff.
not too bitter like a Bucanas, which is Buchanan's. I don't know. Mexicans will call it Bucanas. I'm Mexican, American.
I would have never guessed.
No, I have the. I'm not
I would have
vegan.
never guessed that the Fidel Castro-looking fellow in front of me. Speaking of
I
Trudeau,
do have this dirty Puerto Rican. Oh yeah, so Fidel Castro is the father of Trudeau, right?
Well,
Confirmed.
that's the rumor.
It's 100% confirmed by Mr. Derick.
By DNA.
He's saying it on the.
I am going on record now as saying Trudeau is definitely the legitimate.
Have you seen the pictures, right? And then there's this, he date his mom? There's like a story to it, right?
No, it's the timeline. That's
timeline?
what it comes down to. Is the timeline works out. Therefore, you have a rumor. Therefore, you have a conspiracy because the timeline works. They were in Cuba at the time. that he was conceived.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
So it had to be Fidel. What are you talking about?
And he looks like Fidel. And so you turned your back on your country in
did.
2007,
Gave him the finger as I
right?
was leaving.
Is that when you became an American citizen?
2008, I came here. I immigrated in 2008.
Okay.
And then
Over
Trump.
the river like Mexicans, or how do Canadians do it?
Yeah, that's how we
Take
do
a
it.
Greyhound bus?
No, we're very polite. We're just like, can we come in now? Okay.
guys are very
What about
polite.
later? How about now? Can we come now?
Yes.
Okay. No. Okay. We just do that for like ever, and then finally like, okay, come in. And so I did that for a year. Can I come in now? And they said okay.
Is that how you have sex?
Yeah.
Can I come in, you know? Canadian sex.
It's Canadian sex. It's very not sexy. But so I came in 2008, and then 2017 I became a citizen.
Of the America. So there's a big difference between Canadians and Americans.
How so?
Well, okay. So
I
Canadians are nice. Very nice.
So are Americans.
Depends on what time. So I work at my job. I call all around the country, right? I call golf courses. My day job is golf. So then there's the East Coast. There's the South, right? And there's parts of Florida where they're
Right.
rude because they come from the East Coast.
Okay.
And then there's the Midwest where we're like a mix of kind of nice of the South, a little bit of the hustle and bustle of some of the East Coast, and then like Hawaii, the islands. It's very different, right?
Right.
But all my customers, like when something wrong happens with my customers in Canada, it's never like I bullshit.
Yeah.
I need it's like
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Like we need to get this fixed. Eh?
I don't know. Yeah.
Why are you so polite?
I think it's just less people up there.
You're
You
right.
know, people aren't on top of each other the way we are here sometimes, you know.
Yeah, we're literally on top of each other. So
It's a
many
lot
people.
more rural. I mean, you've been to rural places in America. People are fucking sweethearts.
Yeah, and the cities
You know,
we're on top of
I
each
mean,
other.
you go a little bit out of here, and you go into Iowa and places like that. People are lovely.
Slipknot.
They're
That's from
lovely.
Iowa.
Just
Is there
lovely.
does Canada-
Wyoming was lovely. I lived in Wyoming, actually.
You what?
I forgot to tell you that. Actually, before I came to Chicago, I lived in Wyoming for a year.
So why'd you leave Canada?
I followed a woman here.
Okay.
That's what happened.
No, I've done that before. I followed women before.
So I just got to introduce myself now. I'm still.
She was a Canadian woman or
No,
American?
she was American from Chicago.
And then she came to Canada and took your heart, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. And so I followed her back, and we got married, and we had kids. And
How many kids do you have?
I have 2.
I just had a pregnancy scare today.
A pregnancy scare?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So my girlfriend was 4 days late on her period because I track her period on an app called Femometer or
You
something like that.
track it?
Yeah, I don't like
Does
using-
she know you're tracking?
Yeah.
Okay.
She tells me, well,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't use birth control or birth control, condoms, chemicals, any of that stuff.
So you don't use any condoms or anything like that?
no, I
Anything?
track her cycle.
Track her
right?
cycle. And you want to know another trick?
What's the other one? I don't pull out either, unless it's within the cycle days. But what's the trick?
So it's actually don't pull out. Never do that because here's I don't know if I can talk about
You can
this.
talk
Is going
about
to get
anything.
weird. This is going to get weird. So you know the shape of how the penis is shaped?
Yeah.
It's kind of shaped like a plunger almost. So what you want to
know where you're
do
going.
is keep having after you've ejaculated, keep going, and then it just basically clears it all out.
Now
The worst part is when you try and pull out, because what happens a lot, this is why people fuck up on that, is because they think they've pulled out in time and they haven't. They've done the absolute worst thing they could do, is they've just
Deposited.
They deposited something and it hasn't been touched. It's in, and now it's free to do its thing, right? Whereas you keep going, it's like a plunger. It plunges it all out, right?
Now,
and that's why people fuck up on that method.
I heard
Don't
of that,
do
but I heard that was like an urban myth, the whole plunger thing.
No, it's not. I
All right.
did it to perfection with my wife. To
But
perfection.
you have 2 kids.
I have 2. Yeah, I timed them both using that method.
Okay.
So I was like, "You're getting pregnant tonight." And she goes, "How do you know?" And I was like, "Just watch."
So
that's-
so you do kind of want to pull out then and just not go back in if you want to have a kid. If you want to have a kid.
If you want to have a kid, the second you're ejaculating, you stop. Right? Even if you're halfway or whatever it is, I don't know. In the beginning, you stop and then you get the hell out. And now that stuff hasn't been, you haven't pushed it out the other end. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I did that method, and I never got into trouble.
Did you follow the cycle at all, or just the method?
No. Oh yeah, no, I did. Totally.
So-
I have to follow. If you're trying to get her pregnant, yes, then you have
Well, I'm
to totally
trying to
follow.
not get her pregnant, so
Well, then totally follow the cycle.
I
as well.
only go deposit in her when it's safe on the cycle. In those 5 days where it tells me in the app,
Okay.
that's when I pull out. But I pull out because I pulled out I was single for many years, right? I did not ever see myself settling down or having a kid. I have a kid. He's 7 months old. So I never saw that happening. I thought I was going to be the old guy at the club.
Yeah.
And then that was my life. Yeah. And then the pandemic happened, and then I stopped doing comedy. I stopped doing anything. And then I got into a relationship later in that pandemic because it's like, well, because I didn't have a personal life during comedy. It was like comedy shows, work, comedy shows.
You didn't do any road shit? Because that's when you get personal, I think, is when you're doing the road gigs, right? You're in a car.
I did local road, I didn't go across the country.
You got to go up into the UP, my man. You got to do.
As far as I went Lansing, I didn't get there yet. I think I had a year or two more. I was like at a feature level-ish local.
Okay.
And I was getting there. And then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I didn't do comedy up until recently.
Road gigs are when it becomes personal. You get in a car with another guy or girl or a bunch of guys, whatever it is, and you really bond then. That's the best part of comedy for me was the road gigs. I remember when I did the 3-week San Francisco comedy competition. Okay. So I was in San Francisco for 3 weeks, and it was just one fucking road gig after another. Good, good venues and whatnot, but I made it to the 3rd week, so I got to be there for 3 weeks. And I mean, it was just, it was just the best part. It was just, the only thing I remember about that competition is just the car rides.
Did you do any tribble shows?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
You heard about
the
this guy?
Run? Yeah, I used
Tribble Run.
I was infamous. in it. I was in it.
No way.
I always stayed locally. I didn't do a tribble shows, but I knew enough listening to podcasts and talking to comics or whatever.
Those are pretty infamous.
So Tribble, have you done any Crane's Butter shows? He's like a little local, almost like a Tribble here.
No.
So Crane's you could probably create the headline of Crane show. He has places in the outskirts of Illinois or some Wisconsin, Freeport, Mustangs and South Beloit. I've had sex twice, not with him, or one below in those areas, with a senior groupie after the show. I've done that, yeah. And then actually coming back to the pulling out, like I was saying earlier, I grew up pulling out. That's all I did. Because in the beginning, I didn't really wear condoms.
I should probably just, as a caution to people, do that in conjunction with your psychomath. Don't just do that because you could probably get into trouble. Well,
I feel these people.
I'm just saying it's an added level of security if you do it that way.
We refuse to take birth control, right? I don't want that stuff in the body.
No, I don't think I've never actually been with a girl who's been on birth control either.
Well, I've
been engaged to a woman, I've been married, and no one I've ever known has done that. And but I have done the condom thing. I think I
couldn't in the beginning because it's like you've seen that. Do they play Seinfeld in Canada? I don't know. So there's that Seinfeld episode. You've seen Seinfeld. You've seen Seinfeld, right? Seinfeld. There's a Jewish guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, now, of course we have Seinfeld. What are we talking about?
So, but don't you only
I just saw a really, I want to talk about, if we have time, I just saw a great interview with Jason Alexander. But anyway, keep going.
George, right?
Right, George Costanza.
Who played Larry David, sort of, right? Loosely?
Well, this is what it was about, actually. This is funny.
Okay. I love Seinfeld. Bring it on.
So he was going, he was talking to... it was a Howard Stern interview, and he was talking to Howard Stern, and Howard Stern was asking him he was telling Howard Stern he didn't know the character he was playing was based on Larry David until the 9th episode, until he finally figured it out. When he got the audition, he blew it off, kind of blew off the audition. He sent in a tape of him doing like a Woody Allen impression, basically. He was reading the lines they gave him as Woody Allen.
Oh, I can't do the impression.
And he's like, this is never going to fucking happen. This is not the way you get work in Hollywood. And they just looked at it and they're like, you know what? Close enough. And I guess there is, if you listen to,
neurotic.
Look, there's a Jewish cadence, right?
Yeah.
We've all heard it. And so the cadence is it's there. But it was interesting to see how many other people were offered that role. I didn't know Chris Rock was offered that role.
Chris Rock? Jason Alexander?
Because they were just trying anything. Steve Buscemi?
Buscemi, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I could see Steve.
I could kind of a little bit.
Do that neurotic thing.
I could even see him be a Kramer, maybe. Buscemi Kramer, maybe?
He could definitely, but he could definitely be neurotic. I mean, you saw Fargo, right? That was perfect.
I
right?
think so. It's on my list to watch, and every time I try to watch, I've been trying to watch it.
You've got to
with
watch
it's
Fargo.
So we're gonna pick
That's
a movie.
one of my top 10 movies, man.
It's in my top 10 to watch, and I haven't seen it yet. Because every time we start, my girlfriend falls asleep. Like I'll watch it.
I didn't know people like you still existed.
I've
That's
tried to
amazing.
watch it.
What
Like,
else haven't you seen?
I've seen the clips. I've seen everything else. I feel I finally saw what's the movie that Mike Judge makes with President Camacho. I finally saw that like last week.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You know Mike Judge, right? Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill. Do you know the movie?
Yeah, but I'm not big fans of those guys.
Idiocracy. I think Idiocracy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've been trying to see it for years, and I've seen
That's
the
who
clips.
did it.
Yeah. And I thought, you didn't know it was Mike Judge?
I'm so dumb. Idiocracy is also
Office
in my
Space.
top 10
Yeah.
list of movies.
Yeah, President Camacho. I love that movie.
Now I remember. I thought you were talking about Randy Man, Macho Savage. I don't know why that came in my head. I was like, he made a movie?
He's a good-looking man. I just like to see pictures of him in tight jeans. Like, there's a picture of the meme. He's on the beach, and he's whatever. I like tight jeans. But, no, Seinfeld, it's really all I watch is Seinfeld, yeah. But I know you guys have the Canadian, is it the Canadian Broadcasting Network? Isn't it?
Yes. No, it's a...
Do you not have a lot of options in Canada? This is from me listening to like maybe Russell Peters talk about.
No, there's nothing. There's CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and then there's CTV, and that's about it.
Is Canadian Television Corporation?
The C stands for Canadian. That's all I can tell you.
Right.
And whatever else comes after that. But yeah, there's two, and that's pretty much it. I mean, there's global. I think there's a global news or something like that, or I don't know.
But you guys have a lot of
Global
entertainers
network.
that come over here, or I feel like they stand out to me. Jim Carrey, Dan Aykroyd, the chick with the tits.
Yeah.
Pamela Anderson.
You said the chick with the tits, and I knew exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's bad. Is there only one chick with tits that's come here from Canada?
Yeah, that's it.
I guess no one. Every other woman who's come from Canada had zero tits. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that's how we identify Pamela Anderson. But of course, a lot of Canadians come here. In fact, I was told to do that by producers in Canada.
Because can you make a living in Canada?
It made me angry.
Or you have to? Can you make? Is Canada?
Of course you can.
As a country, like what people used to consider Chicago, which is not anymore. Like it's changed, but years ago, Chicago was like, all right, you can get good here, but you got to go to L.A. or New York or whatever. But it's not like that. Things have changed. The internet, TikTok, blah blah blah. It's different now.
You could make a living.
Yeah.
You just can't make the same kind of living. And you're not getting. It's not like anyone. If you ever go down to the United States, anyone's ever going to know who you are. Like I did tons of television in Canada. I did more comedy specials in Canada than most of the American comics have done. Like I've done an hour special, I've done multiple Just for Laughs specials, and nobody's seen them here, right? Nobody's seen them here. So it's like...
Yeah, you do have to kind of come over here.
You know, people in Canada know who I am, but until you do something in the United States, then the rest of the world doesn't know who the hell you are. Only Canadians know. It's like being in Iceland, right? You do something in Iceland, the only people who are going to know about it are people in Iceland.
Yeah, you and Bjork. That's it. Like nobody else is going to know.
So
you got to come to the U.S. and wear the duck.
But you could easily make a fucking living in Canada.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be like you're not going to be living high. Like
what do you guys have over there? Just Canadian dollars, right? Is that?
What do you mean? What do we?
You don't have
We have healthcare.
How is the healthcare? Because I heard good and bad things. Like it's great, but you have to wait.
Look, there's a lot of shit I don't like about Canada. I'll be honest with you. That's why I'm here, right? I can't stand our government. I hate Trudeau. I really do. I hate to say that, but I do.
I know.
But though I'll tell you one thing that isn't bad in Canada, it's the healthcare. That all the negative stuff is really from the health insurance industry here in America. They do not want anything like that because then they're fucked. The fact of the matter is my dad just had a triple bypass heart surgery. He walked out of the hospital. His bill is $0.00. Okay, he didn't. It's just that's the way it is, and it was great. I can't even see the scar. I mean, the guy who did his triple heart surgery or whatever, triple heart bypass in Canada, I mean, he's as good a doctor as any doctor here. It's the same equipment. It's the same bricks and mortar and beds and medicine. It's just cheaper. It's more affordable, and that's it.
I do a little trick, right? What I did here as a U.S. citizen, I didn't pay for my medical bills. So it's funny because I got my appendix taken out. in Highland Park Hospital. It's a affluent. You probably heard of it now because there was a shooting, but before nobody really knew where Highland Park was.
I knew exactly where Highland Park is.
Before the shooting, you knew?
Of course.
Oh.
My wife comes from that area. Or
Really?
My ex-wife, sorry.
Jewish?
My ex-wife. No.
Oh, really? Because I grew up
Just
in
a little
Highland Park.
south of Highland Park.
Highwood? No, that's Wilmette.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kenilworth. To
So-
be honest.
So I know the North Shore, like not like
Yeah.
the back of my hand, but I grew up working, and
Yeah.
I didn't live there. I lived just right north of it. There's a little Italian, now Mexican town called Highwood. They have all these nice restaurants where everybody from Highland Park goes to eat. But I grew up, I caddied there. I still caddy there. So I grew up, and I know that
Okay.
North Shore little area. I'm in golf. Golf is my other life. But I don't remember what I was talking about. So the road, I forgot. I don't know.
Oh, we got.
We're talking about the road, right?
We're talking about the road and how it's for me. It's one of the best parts of being a comedian. Just those bonding experiences and the sharing and just.
Were you single at the time or in a relationship? 'Cause that makes it different.
You know, for most of my comedy career, I've been actually married. Yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah, married for most of it, or in a relationship for I would say 75% of it.
and then you got divorced before the pandemic. Do you have one
During-
engagement
during the
during the
pandemic,
pandemic?
yeah.
What was how did it start? Where did divorce come from? You saw it coming, or
Yeah, for sure.
okay? Because I know, like, I didn't see. I don't know if I feel like I'm a little bit oblivious. Is that the word to what's going on? Maybe in relationships that I'm
Yeah.
in, and I'm like, or have you heard the joke? Like, you don't know that a guy doesn't know that a breakup's coming.
Yeah.
And he starts noticing, like she's been doing it for months, or she's been
Yeah.
planning, and the guy's like, I don't
No,
know what
that's what it
happened.
felt like.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I tell people I think the reason I got divorced was because I never thought it would happen.
So you didn't change. You were like,
You
everything's
know,
good.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't communicated to me that things were bad until the last minute, until it was too late, and then I tried to do marriage counseling, but by then the decision had already been made by one of the parties.
Yeah, that's
you know,
usually what it takes.
and-
Yeah, just one.
But the reason why I didn't change is because I hadn't, there was no sign.
Did she think that that you should have known, or that you it was so obvious?
No, I don't know. I mean, that's hard to, I try not to go through
I'm putting you through
the
your divorce
tapes,
again. Okay.
go through the game tapes. It's done. It's over, and it's what had to happen, I guess.
Are you single now?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you getting consistently laid?
No.
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 Do you want to? Or you just focus on your comedy, or just whatever?
It's a good question, actually. I would say that I wanted to right after we
Yeah.
got divorced because I just wanted to kind of put
Yeah.
something in between that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It helps. It does help.
Do you know what I mean? Like just to get that. And it was good. But now I just feel like I need to work on myself. I was married for close to 15 years, and you lose your identity a bit, and I realized that I'd lost a lot of my identity, and I didn't want to just put who I am out right now out there. I want to sort of kind of reflect a bit as, okay, well, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to work on? What are the things that I like to do? Cause
what do you like to do?
I like to play hockey, I like to run.
Canadians.
Yeah, see, stereotypical Canadian.
No, you guys love Canada.
I like to drink whiskey, I like to go
VO
out.
is VO Canadian.
What?
Is VO Canadian? No, that's not.
What do you mean,
Seagram's VO.
Oh, yes, Seagram's, yes, it is.
That's Canadian whiskey.
Totally
right?
Canadian.
Yeah, my people I used to work with, they all drank the same thing: VO and Sprite and VO and something else. And I was like, what are these people doing?
Yeah.
It seemed to like Canadian whiskey is a little bit sweet for me, so I don't like
Yeah.
sweet.
So drinking whiskey, and then, this is funny, actually. I wanted to talk to you about this. So I have had this thing in my head, this little worm in my head about wingsuit flying, which you clearly know what it is.
Yeah,
Okay, now it's
so
the dumbest
scary.
idea.
It's so scary to me.
It is. But I've been watching all these Instagram,
But you see the guys, they go through the bridge and they're going I don't know how many miles an hour.
I know. To me, it almost seems like it's computer generated. Like they're going through canyons, they're flying through the Swiss Alps, plucking chocolate off the top of trees. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks amazing. And so I'm looking at this, and I'm watching all these videos or these vignettes on Instagram with the latest, music that they're playing, and boom, but whatever they're doing, right? And I'm just so into it. And so finally I'd had enough. I'm like, this is something I'm going to do. I'm single, right? And so I go on the internet and I'm like, okay, what do I have to do to become a wingsuit flyer? And I found an article and I listed 5 things, and I barely got through the first one. I'm going,
what's the first one?
I'm fucking not going to do this.
What was the first one?
So just so you understand my stupid brain where I'm coming from, I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can go straight into wingsuit flying. Like I can go from
you never even skydived.
Yeah. I'm like, I can go straight from fucking pickup basketball to wingsuit flying. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't go from hockey
to the NBA finals.
Right. You've got to put some things
or
in
NHL
between.
Playoff. I don't know.
They don't let you wingsuit fly. That's the last thing they let you do.
You'd have to do it through the black market illegally. You'd have to find like some Dominican or some Italian or maybe some Greek mafia and be like, hey, pay him whatever. And it's like, oh, we can make that. We can have an illegal. We can do an illegal wingsuit.
I'm sure it would
racket.
take me about 10 minutes to find that guy, for sure. You would probably find him in 5, but I mean, you're probably right about that. But, I'm a Canadian. I want to do things the legal way.
Yeah,
right?
you guys do.
I want to do it the northern way. And
like you guys, it took a years your independence took what, like 300 years? Or
it took a long
and you're
time.
still kind of like.
We still got the queen on our fucking money.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck is going on? That's one of the reasons I left. I'm like, I can't.
You're so
look at
passive
our
aggressive
money anymore. Like, what the fuck, Canada? When are we going to become a country here?
Yeah, U.S. was like 1776. It's now.
It's done.
It's now.
It's done.
Yeah, like YOLO.
We're like, well, let's just wait. Let's see, and still, hundreds of years later, we got someone else's thing on our money, and now we got to change it because she's dead. Imagine something happening in another country, and then America's got to change its money, right? No, it's not going to happen.
America's not
it's not going to. Canada has to change its money now. Now we got to put fucking big ears on.
I don't like him.
No, who does?
I'm not a fan of that guy.
Yeah.
But again, I'm the type where I'm a little bit empathetic, where I feel like, okay, you were. Oh, sorry, my bad. You were raised that way. Like you saw the videos, right, where he was going to sign something and he didn't want to touch anything because he was like, oh, I don't do it. It almost reminded me of basically sat down and he's like, oh, there's stuff on the table, like move this for me, I don't touch it, I'm the king. And it was like Eddie Murphy and Coming to America, but without like the likability. And
it reminds me of something he said, and it just sounded like the saddest thing. He said he was bemoaning how much it sucks to be in the royal family and how he doesn't know how to fucking do anything, and he's like, I don't even know how to book my own flight. Everyone does something for me. He was just basically saying, I'm just a useless fuck. And I was listening to him, and it was one of the few moments of candidness that I'd heard from this guy, and he was saying this like in an interview. He's like, I don't even know how to fucking, he didn't say fucking, but he's like, I don't even know how to book a flight. And I'm like, you sad piece of shit.
I feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him.
That's not happiness, right?
I wouldn't want to be
We look
the king.
at that and we think that's happiness, but
I'm not happy. You can't do.
He looks so sad, man.
I can do whatever I want, basically.
Yeah.
Now I'm in a relationship, I have kids, so now it's like I plan things a little bit more.
Right.
But at the same, I can do this. You have the freedom when you're not like, as far as like stand-up. So I kind of stopped doing stand-up during the pandemic.
Yeah, we all did.
I completely stopped, and I just started recently to start it because the winter's coming.
Yeah, me too. I'm on a similar track than you.
Yeah. And then so I was like, I had the freedom to. So okay, so I was doing it, stopped, but I could do kind of whatever I wanted, and like if you're that, when I wanted to do stand-up, what I was trying to say is like, okay, I never wanted to be famous. Right, I'm not into fame or any of that stuff. I actually liked stand-up. I like writing.
I wish there was
jokes or
a way to get,
Exactly.
I wish it wasn't all that, So when I used to work the Improv a lot until they decided no longer to book me anymore.
The whole, okay, I thought you meant their cycle.
No, I was in Schaumburg, and I do fucking opening for, all the latest SNL alumni people and sitcom guys coming through there. And and after every show, invariably, people will walk up to me because I'd be featuring, for these headliners, and they go, "Oh, you should have been the headliner, right? You should." And I would always say to them, "If I were the headliner, you wouldn't have come here today."
Exactly.
And that's the sad thing about comedy is it's just so hard for good, seasoned, road, fucking knock it out of the park every night comics to fill a room. The people who are filling the room don't know the fucking first thing about comedy, half of them. You've got bloggers, you've got YouTubers, you've got people from sitcoms, TikTokers, and they're filling these comedy clubs. And, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a shitty show.
How do you change that?
Well, I'll tell you what, here's what they got. This is why I got kicked out of Improv, or they won't book me anymore. So I had a show, and okay, by the way, the guy they had, so how a lot of guys like me will get a night at Improv because we're not famous.
Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that.
Or a Thursday.
Thursday.
I have a Thursday coming up at Zany's in Rosemont. Okay, but I had a Thursday at Improv, and in the weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday was Jo Koy.
Filipino.
Right.
American comedian.
So he's filling it up with Filipinos. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So a week before the show, they're like, Joe phoned us and he wants to do the Thursday as well. Well, actually, they didn't phone me. He phoned them and said he wants to do the Thursday, which I'm booked for and I've already sold tickets for. I would get like about 30 to 50 people a show, right? And then they'd get a few more and it'd be a decent show, right? Have maybe like 150, 200 in there. So he calls and says, I want to do Thursday as well. I'm like, no problem, Joe, no problem. So it's like a week before the show, my friends are calling me, hey, why is my credit card being refunded? Why am I...
Is that how you found out?
Yeah, that's how I found out. And they're like, why? Hey, what happened to your show? Did it get canceled? And I go, what? And I go online and I like to type it right away. And then I see it's like my Thursday's gone. It's Jo Koy there now, right? And I like fucking call up the club and be like, what's going on? And they go, oh yeah, we're just about to let you know. Jo Koy wants to do Thursday. Don't worry, we'll get you another Thursday whenever, sometime. And I go, okay, but you're giving me the money for that day, right? Because that's my weekend basically. I'm not doing a weekend now. I've had that Thursday booked. And they're like, no, you're just gonna accept this. And so in my head, I'm going, see, this is a problem, right? They know that I'm one of the better comics that they'll have in there, right? But they don't care, right? They want people in there who are going to put people in the seats, and they don't. And this is my problem. And I'm not saying it's this way with the Improv, but it's certainly a way with too many clubs. Is they don't want to take the time to really build a comic that's fucking funny, and say, okay, yeah, granted, for a while we're only going to fill this theater 50% capacity with this guy, but we're going to fucking push this guy, and we're going to help this guy get his fan base, and then he's going to sell out. And then if he's like me, when he becomes a big name, he's going to come back to that club and say, you don't ever have to pay me to work here again, because you are the reason I'm at this. You helped me when no one else was. I was the local guy that you didn't fucking bump from a Thursday show because some guy was probably going to come in and fill that day as well, right? You fucking held your ground and said, this guy is a guy we respect because he's fucking hilarious. And I know a lot of this is my ego talking, but this is how I see myself. Like, I know how good I am. That's why I'm still doing comedy after 20 years, because I know my problem is in the marketing end. It's that part which I have had to get better at, but it's been slow. But I'll tell you where I'm not lagging. It's in the actual content. If you come to my show, it's going to be one of the best comedy shows you've seen, and I'm just saying that because I know.
What are you doing to step up the marketing? Because that's one thing where it's like, I always kind of force myself to do. It's the marketing, the self-promotion, and at a point it's like you have to do it, but then because you're doing it,
you're asking the fucking wrong person. That's for sure.
What are you doing? I'll tell you what. Like, man, I see so many funny comedians that are super funny, and it's like, they're funny on that side, but it's like as far as the business side, and it's like part of me. It's like, man, should I try to help manage comedians? Like, I want to help. I always promote, right?
Well, you should. Because
I've thought about it.
Definite fucking need for it. I know I need it. And maybe that's probably where I've dropped the ball a bit as well. I probably should have gotten help. And I didn't seek out help.
Did you work with kind of bookers, agents, managers? What
I worked with an agent when I was in Canada, but they didn't do anything for me. I booked all my shows. I booked I booked my 1 hour special.
What'd your agent do?
I don't know. I don't even know anymore. They submit you to my agent in Canada submitted me to TV things, auditions and stuff like that. That's what they do.
Okay.
And then they talk to you about what went wrong or whatever, what the feedback was. I don't know. And so that's what they do. But managers are probably better for comedians because they're gonna help you with some of the other stuff, and they're
the booking, the marketing.
Yeah, they're guiding you. Agents don't really guide you. They're there on sort of the contract thing, on the contract end of things usually. And they're making sure you're not getting fucked on a contract. If you have a really good agent, then and they believe in you and they want to invest the time in you, then they'll probably act a lot like a manager as well. But managers specifically get into more strategy, tactics, that sort of thing. They help you define your marketing. They help you define your act. A good manager will do that. And that's sort of what I've learned talking to a few people now is that they can be instrumental in your success. What
are your favorite out of the clubs you've done? What are your favorite clubs that you've done, or even bookers and managers? Okay, they're doing it right.
Yeah.
He I don't know. Did you know Brian? So Brian and Curtis. You know Brian and Curtis?
I know a lot of Brians. Which Brian?
Brian Morton, who went to New York.
Okay.
So Brian Morton worked with Curtis.
Yeah.
Curtis at Laugh Factory. You know Curtis at Laugh Factory.
Yeah, I know
right?
Curtis at Laugh Factory.
You know what I mean? And so they worked together. Brian left Laugh Factory, became the GM at Zany Chicago, Old Town, right?
Brian Hicks.
Brian Morton.
Before Brian Hicks.
Before Brian Hicks. So he it was not Bert. It was Bert. It was Bert Haas.
Bert Haas, yeah.
So did you know Bert? Did you work with Bert at all?
But I didn't really work with Bert Haas too much. Back then I was traveling a lot more. And so I wasn't in town a lot. And, with Bert, like a lot of managers, you got to get to know these guys. You've got to get a relationship with, because they're getting hounded by everyone, left, right, and center. And, and sometimes they're just going to make a gut decision on you just because that's what keeps them, making decisions quickly, right? They don't have time to mess around with someone they're not sure about. So I think he probably made sort of a gut decision that, Derick's not right for this club or whatever. I don't know what it is. I barely had any communication with Bert Haas, to be honest with you.
And I think you are more marketable now with your beard. I'm going to say this.
Thank you.
When I looked you up, I went on YouTube and I saw this other guy. I didn't even realize it was you. I didn't think it was you without the beard.
Speaking of things I do now that I'm divorced.
The beard.
Right. I couldn't have the beard when I was married.
Your wife was a Muslim.
Yeah.
And, no, you're supposed to have a beard if you're...
No, she was totally against the beard. And I had always liked the beard. And what's funny is I have 2 kids, and my daughter's like, don't you ever shave that beard. And
dude, you look so much better with the beard. I shaved my beard. No, I didn't shave my beard. I did the TikTok app, and it was a filter without a beard. And my girlfriend's like, "I'll leave you."
Yeah,
don't you know what I mean?
No, it's here to stay now. This is what I do.
I just believe it. Men, we should have beards.
Oh yeah, you're one of those guys. What if you're like really good looking though? Like you don't need a beard. I think I need a beard because I'm not that good looking.
This is what I think. I want to see these good-looking guys, right?
Yeah.
And I want to see him with a beard, and kind of, maybe like Brad Pitt doesn't have a beard, right? He's conventional.
I've seen him with a beard, and he doesn't look good.
No,
he does. He looks terrible.
There's another guy that you've seen The Notebook, right?
Yes.
Right.
Ryan
Gosling. Is he attractive? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think he is.
Chris, you think he's good looking? I don't know.
I do. I think he is.
You know what I mean? So there's another one, right? But he's beardless. I'm just thinking the beardless baby ones.
Yeah. I think young guys don't always look good with a beard. I think when you're young, you should probably be beardless.
Yeah. I remember Man Cow. Did you ever do Man Cow? I know he was.
Yeah. No, I was supposed to, though.
What happened?
I don't know. He fell off my radar, but yeah.
Because I had a goatee back in the day, like Man Cow. Anyways, you were married for 15 years. Now you come out of not the womb, but you come out of this. How did you adjust to this single dating life when you were in it? Like right now, you're taking a little semi break, right?
I'm open, but I'm not it's sort of like I'm open for business, but I'm not marketing myself right now. I'm just sort of like playing it casual. But when I first came out, I went onto those dating apps right away, and found someone, whatever, had a 2-3 month relationship, and then that was that.
Are you a relationship guy? I know you've been married.
I prefer relationships. I don't like one night stands. I don't know.
That's funny. I was never.
Yeah.
I hated relationships.
I like sex in a relationship much better than like in a one night stand.
I just started having sex in a relationship. I
think
never
it's
had
much
relationship
better.
sex.
It's much better.
I mean, years ago I did.
Yeah.
Your dad's German immigrant?
My
or
dad's
no?
German, yeah.
So he has the accent and everything?
Yeah.
When did he come to Canada? Did he
came,
have a choice, Canada, U.S., and he went like...
He did, actually, he did. He went all around United States and Canada, and he told me American women scared him. And so he went to
Your
Canada.
wife is Canadian? Or
Yeah,
your wife? Your mother's a...
Freudian slip there.
Yeah.
I almost said wife as well. My mother is Canadian. Yes, she is. French Canadian.
Oh, my God. How do you feel about French Canadians? Your mom,
I like them the best.
You do?
Yeah, they're my
Because
favorite.
Quebec
kind.
is different, right, than the rest of
It's
Canada?
very different. It's very different.
So is it more, I'm not going to say an American, or what's their culture like? Are they more aggressive? Or I don't know too much
Well,
about
it's a lot of the French. It's the
Are
French.
they elitist
France
a little
culture.
bit? Yeah, because French.
No, they are. They're proud people. They're also Canadian. It's interesting. They have some of the French heritage. That French sort of character, where they're very proud and they're very the joie de vivre, that sort of thing.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds nice.
They have the joie de vivre. They're more open. It's like sex, drinking, smoking. They're more into all the enjoying life. It's just the French. It's the French. It's French. It's French Canadian. So they're a little bit. It's French with a little bit of Canadian in it. That's all.
So, speaking of open and French and exploring vices, drinking, nothing. So you black out at all? You drink
Never.
Okay.
I was like my dad.
Strip clubs, drugs, nothing like that?
Strip clubs, yeah, when I was in Montreal, because they're great.
Okay.
I mean, they're like works of art,
How are the strip clubs in Montreal?
The best in the world.
What's makes them? Look, I don't go to strip clubs in the Midwest. I'll
Yeah,
give you a
yeah.
little history of my strip club.
I've never been to a strip club in America. Never, so I don't really know. I don't want to know.
I don't want it. So the ones in the Midwest, I don't
wanna
like.
know.
They're depressing. There's a fat guy in the corner.
Yeah.
The girls are dancing on him. Everybody's sad. There's some rock music. I don't like rock music in my strip
Yeah.
clubs. The only strip clubs I go to is in South Florida, Miami, right, where beautiful Cuban rap music. Like, I'm a rap guy.
Yeah.
Or I like everything now, but. In that atmosphere, I like it because it's a party atmosphere. There's girls, and then allegedly you go in the back and I sleep with them, or I used to, not anymore. But French Canadian strip clubs is like
Montreal is a very beautiful city. Like the women
Art.
are gorgeous.
Okay.
And so are most of the guys as well. But the women are particularly gorgeous in Montreal, and that carries over wherever you are, if you're in a church or a strip club, and they're often side by side, by the way. You will walk down the street, you'll see church, strip club, church, bar, strip club, bar, church. And so
I like church now, I think.
Yeah, and that's Montreal.
And strip clubs.
That's Montreal. Montreal has no problem putting a strip club next to a church.
Can I get into Canada?
Yeah, of course you can.
But they used to be strict. Like, I don't have a DUI, but like what?
What do you have?
Let's see. Do I have any convictions? I don't think so. Like, I mean, I have.
Well, what do you have? Like, what's?
There's the only one.
What do you tell people if you were going to the border?
So if you look me up, right, I had a gun charge, right?
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
So if like there's an app where you can look up my thing, and it looked like a bad rip sheet. It's like cannabis, unlawful
Okay.
use of a weapon, whatever. But I think it got dropped. When I was coming home, I bought. There's guns
Well,
here.
you just answer the questions they ask you. If they asked you if you ever were arrested, what would you say?
Many times, yeah.
Okay.
But it's like, who hasn't been arrested? No, actually, my girlfriend's never been arrested, and I don't know. Have you been arrested?
No.
No, yeah, and I didn't know, maybe growing up, how I did and who. It's like I thought it was the norm, and then when I
Yeah.
started meeting people, like my girlfriend, like, you got arrested, right? No. Her best friend, you got arrested, no. And I'm like, oh, I thought everybody got arrested.
Wait a minute. This is okay. This isn't what normal people do. They don't get arrested.
No, I thought that was everybody got arrested once or twice.
How do you not get arrested?
Almost got a DUI, things like that. Actually got pulled over.
How do you not get into fights and stuff?
Do they have DUIs in Canada, or just it's okay? You can drink.
Yeah, you can. The roads are big enough.
It's like a big Wisconsin.
Doesn't matter. You're on the road. You're not on the road. Whatever. Of course, we have DUIs in Canada.
I had a question about your dad. Was your dad? I don't know if this was just a joke. Was your dad really blunt and honest with you? The Big Bird thing, is that like I'm kind of like that with my nephews.
You were talking about the joke I did where that is not a bird, that is a tired old man inside a bird costume.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit like that with my niece. I like keep it real with her for the most part, and she's 10 years old or 8 or 7. I don't know her age.
That my dad wasn't warm to the idea of me getting into comedy or anything like that. He didn't, and that's why I didn't at first. That's why I went to university. I was a good kid. I worked at a consulting firm out of university. I didn't become a comic until I was like 29, which is sad. But I would have.
I'm going to say that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Maybe.
I'll tell you why.
But anyway, so my dad, and I remember I finally worked up the courage, and I realized, like, I don't need his permission to do this.
He living your life?
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Derrick? Mr. Derrick lives with Mr. Derrick's life.
That's right. And so I told him, and I remember the day I told him, I was like, hey, Dad, I just want to let you know I quit my job. And we were driving in the car, actually, because I was visiting them. And my dad, I always know when he doesn't approve of something, because then after you tell him, he's just kind of silent for a moment, and he's taking those deep breaths like Anton Segura in No Country for Old Men, and then he just kind of finally looked over at me and he said, "Why would you do this?" And just like that, why would you do this?
Oh, Dad's such an immigrant thing to do. It's beautiful.
And I said, well, Dad, that's what I've been thinking about for a while, and I just decided I'd do it. And then I don't know if this was payback or not. I never planned it, but I started doing jokes about my dad just because, you do jokes about your life. And I thought, hey, well, there's got to be comedy in this. I grew up with a German dad, and I started thinking about some of the stories and, how, with the purple monkey, and I had to wake up with a smile and all that stuff. And I
don't know how I feel about that, but I do a fake smile every day of my life.
Right. It's kind of interesting. I've had a lot of people say exactly what you've said, just like that, just how you said it. It's like, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know.
I like it and I don't like it.
No, I've had that comment 100 times.
Because you're a kid, maybe I don't like it, but as an adult, I'm pro fake smile and pushing through a little bit.
The Dale Carnegie way, right? That all started with Dale Carnegie.
Oh, really? I got it from Corolla back in the day. I was a Loveline guy. So he was like, just, he would be like, oh, I'm depressed, blah, blah. Yeah. Put the smile on, just whatever. Act as if.
I guess I was a miserable looking child, because I would come downstairs. I didn't have a beard. I'd come downstairs and my dad would say, Derek, look at me. Why aren't you smiling? You have to start the day with sunshine, and then he'd send me back upstairs.
Oh,
and he'd say,
he's so German.
Yeah, he'd say, you don't come down until you have a smile on your face. So I'd have to go back upstairs, come all the way back down, and present myself with a smile to my dad, and then I was allowed to proceed to breakfast. And that was how it worked.
How'd you feel? How do you think that affected you as an adult? Because I see like half of it is good, half of it is maybe fucked you up. But I see the good, what he's trying to do. When I kind of appreciate and respect it, but I was like, this could potentially go astray.
Well, my mother would say later, and I don't know if this was a reaction or my actual true nature, but my mother often said, if you want to get Derek to do something, you're better to tell him to do the opposite.
Oh, okay.
She understood my nature. I was
a little bit of a mini Canadian, a rebel for a Canadian.
Yeah.
Ish.
So, anyway, getting back to the story. So, I started doing jokes about my dad. Like, not only is he not improved, but now I'm making fun of my dad, right? Just in a lighthearted way. It's nothing big. But it grows into a 5-minute set. And now suddenly it's a 7-minute set. I've got a 7-minute set of my dad. Right? And what do? I audition it in front of Just for Laughs Festival, the biggest, greatest comedy festival on the planet.
Yes.
They love it. They're like, you're doing a fucking gala with that shit. right? So now I'm doing a gala in the Just for Laughs festival. So my dad finds out I'm in the Just for Laughs festival. He's German, but he still fucking knows. He knows what's what. He finds out, and he's like, well, I have to come down and see you. Now suddenly he's my biggest fucking fan, right? He's gone from, why are you doing this to, oh, this is great, I always knew it. And wunderbar and all that bullshit. And I go, Dad, I just don't need to let you know something. I do a few jokes about you, right? And it was fucking 7 minutes of just fucking crushing my dad, right? And he's like, well, what are these jokes? And so I tell him the smiling bit, right? It's a true story. He knows it. He fucking did it, right? And so I tell him, I do that bit. It's a bit. And he's laughing. He thinks it's hilarious, right? And so I go, okay, well, maybe I can do this, right? But then, you know, I get to the Just for Laughs and I do it. And by the way, it's a great, it fucking goes over amazing. Like, it was just a great set. I even got like a good review in the Gazette the next day, whatever. But anyway, there's a camera. They figured out where he is. They figured out who he is, the Just for Laughs festival. And they wait for him coming out of the theater after his son has just did 7 minutes on him, right? Fucking 7 minutes of fucking crushing in front of 1,500 people and televised. And so they have a camera on him. He's coming out. And so I should have told you, I do a lot of like, Derick, come here. There's a lot of that. It's like a repeated. And so they go, he's coming out, and there's like a guy there, and he's like, hey, Mr. Lengwenus, what did you think of the show? And he just stops suddenly, like he's surprised by the camera. And then without a beat, my dad snaps into a caricature of himself. And he does the Derick, come here. You know, it's just sort of like he just rolled into it and just tagged it. Like, he tagged the whole special. And that is now part of that clip on Just for Laughs Festival. So it's kind of interesting how he went from, why are you doing this, to being an active participant, willing participant in my comedy. You know, it just goes to show you, you know, yeah, it's going to be hard. And sometimes, you know, your family, your parents, whoever it is in your life is not going to be with you. But if you believe in it, eventually they'll probably come around, and then they'll become your biggest fan, and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. It was kind of very interesting how that all unfolded.
My mother's never come to any of my shows.
No, that's too bad.
But that's good to hear. Like, your dad. My dad hasn't come, but he's in a different country now.
You know
what I mean?
And I can't tell you.
My dad probably would have came, but he got.
Well, where's your dad?
Mexico.
Oh, right. Okay.
He got deported like 12 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's Obama. It's fine. So it's okay if he does it. But he got deported, and he's in Mexico. But he might have come. Like, my dad.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Dads are different, right?
The wild. Yeah, my mom. But my mom, I think it's.
Well, why? Hang on a second. Why won't your mom come?
So I was just talking about this the other day. I think maybe it's the language barrier or type of thing. Because my mom's a nice lady. You know what I mean? And she's good. My sister will say, no,
Does
she's
she
not.
think it's because, now, let me ask you, is your mother like very religious or what have you? Is she like very proper?
She's Catholic, so she's religious.
But like, how does she feel, like, say,
of.
about swearing and stuff like that? And like, what goes on a typical comedy show? How does she feel about that?
I don't think.
Does that bother her?
I don't think it'll bother her.
See, it would have bothered my mother. Unfortunately.
I think it's the language barrier. I think it's that. Like,
Okay.
I'm going to feel stupid or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe now I think maybe I should ask her. Well,
maybe
maybe
she's worried that I don't know, this just could be a reason. Maybe she's worried if you fail that she's going to, like, if you don't, like, people don't like you.
Mm-hmm. It reflects on her.
Well, she's going to just feel bad, right? Nobody wants
loser. Yeah, my mom
wants to see, you know, their child eat a dick on stage.
Yeah, so my mom's a coward. I get it now.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know.
I got the ball to do it. You don't. But I was just.
But I can't tell you how hard it was to do 7 minutes on my dad while I know he's up there on like the second deck looking down on me. That was hard. I didn't think of that.
Was your mom there?
My mom,
your parents together?
Unfortunately, passed away the year I started doing comedy, which was a real mind fuck. But whatever. Yeah, I never really thought about that too much. But yeah, she unfortunately passed away 20 years ago, I guess it was.
I don't know how I feel. My dad's still alive, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if I go to his funeral or not. Like, a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, you know what? If my dad dies, I was telling my girlfriend, I might have to go to Mexico for a few days because my dad dies. I'm in this weird thing, and then I'm like, a week ago I was like, I ain't going. So I don't know, but part of me I think it will. Maybe I will. I don't know. Like I don't get too mad, but it's like I feel like you're old, dude. Like get it to like who starts smoking meth like in your 60s, like gardening or something like that. But it's like get it together. It's time to grow up a little bit. Like, but it took me. I didn't mature until I was 35. You know, I'm a mix of my mom and my dad. The calm side of my mom and their family, and my dad. They're all crazy.
You think being a parent though, it's probably snapped you into that though, right?
I matured before that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I went to South Miami and I went with these strippers and I blew $4,000 on them. I went to a hotel room and broke a toilet and then I blew all my money and then it was kind of a rock bottom.
Oh man, you were a real baller, man.
I had. So what happened was I was in the airport. I've said this before, but I was in the airport. I looked at my accounts. Everything was negative, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
One of the accounts was I shared with a friend for a house that we owned, and I was like, "Oh my god, I fucked." And then I called my caddy master, and I was like, "Hey, do you need caddies this weekend?" And I worked every day. Started working weekends to make up for it. But that was like my rock. And then I was
how old were you?
35.
35.
I'm 38 now.
Yeah,
so 35 in 2019 it happened. And that's when I got it together. I started maturing.
Wow.
So it's like it took me a while to mature. Before that I wasn't there. I needed it, you know what I mean? Like they say about addicts, like
they
need
hit a rock bottom.
They kind of need that rock bottom.
I've had that happen to me in different ways, but you know, it's not like hitting rock bottom.
What's a Canadian rock bottom like? Is it tell me how polite
it's
is it?
rockier, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot more rock
because of the Mounties and the mountains over there.
Rock bottom is you run out of beer. That's rock bottom.
Labatt Blue. Do people drink that or is
Blue,
it just the commercial?
Molson X. No, Labatt Blue. Yeah, for sure. That's a big one. That's one of the top. It's like Budweiser.
Oh, it is because I know in Australia they don't really drink the Fosters. They drink something else, and it's
in Canada they definitely drink the Labatt Blue. It's the equivalent of Budweiser, I would say.
Okay, the Maple Leafs
or Miller or whatever.
We're winding down time. Any last things you want to say before plugs? Any last words? We'll say you're not gonna die.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna die. I don't have any last words. I think we tied all the bows and fastened all the buttons on this. Did we?
The things that the heroin users use, we tightened those up.
Was there any loose ends that we were talking about wingsuit flying? Did we?
Yeah, we're gonna find a guy on the side of the street.
Okay, so let me just say that here's what happened, just to tie that up, because it was kind of interesting. So I did the whole research on the wingsuit flying, and figured out that I couldn't do it because I had to jump 200 times in a year and a half, and I'm like not jumping out of an airplane.
There's only 365 days in a year.
Yeah, so. I'm like I can't. That's like 3 or 4 times a week for Christ's sake. Like I have kids. What am I gonna? Sorry, kids. Like, Daddy's got to go jump out of an airplane, and like plus I have kids. Like I'm not.
I can't do that anymore.
Right.
I can't even skydive anymore because when I was younger, I would do all this crazy shit. Now that I'm older,
now you're like.
Sometimes I'm scared to drive, so it's like it's definitely changed. And give me some plugs. Give me some.
So my plugs. Well, MrDerrick.com. First of all, everyone should go to MrDerrick.com.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to MrDerrick.com.
DERECK, right?
DERICK.
Is it a Canadian thing? The I?
I think it's a Swedish thing.
Oh.
So go to MrDerrick.com. I have some shows coming up, but they're like really, really soon. So, like I have Zanies at the 27th of November. But I don't want to really plug anything.
Okay, Zanies.
Yeah.
I'll just share it on the page. If you message me, if not, I'll forget.
So, but I would just say, I just want to plug my website. That's what I want to do.
Let me write that down. I can get a babysitter. Now I have to get babysitters.
No, sorry. Did I say November? It's October.
October 27th.
Yeah.
And that's the day before. Oh, the 28th, the cat show. We can't. Okay, I'll share that on my page too. She has a show coming out.
Share it on my
here
page,
at the Lincoln Lounge.
Just MrDerrick.com and follow me on Instagram. That's the best thing to do.
Do you like the Chinese government? Do you have a TikTok? Is my way of asking.
Oh shit! I do not have a TikTok.
Okay, like you can blow up. Like I have a clip that almost got to 1 million. And
did you really?
Haas's son,
Steve
Haas. His clip is like almost at 100K.
Me and him are gonna make a movie together.
Okay, I love his films.
I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, his clip is almost at 100K on my TikTok.
I'm gonna get him to do a movie with me. That's my new thing.
Do you have an OnlyFans?
No, I don't.
Okay, all right.
But I'll figure that all out.
So Mr. Derick, and then let me do the plugs for the podcast. Lobo Den Podcast, follow the Patreon. Look, this is the thing. All the content here is free, but if you go to the Patreon, you start at $3 a month. There's early releases. There's some episodes you can't out. I'll do some more stuff. And there's anything that I don't talk about here and you want to find out, Patreons, you have all access. And today I had sex with a fleshlight. That doesn't have to do anything with the Patreon. But again, the link and launch. Thank you very much, Chrissy. Thank you, Derek. I think, Instagram, blah, 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 TikTok. Who cares? Chinese.
It's Derick Lengwenus.
Derick Lengwenus, Mr. Derek.
Mr.
Okay.
Derek, yeah.
Lobo Den.
Lobo Den.